Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Satsang with myself, John Homewood, and
Michelle.
welcome back. Welcome back. Well, those of you who joined us before, welcome back. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you are joining us for the first time, if you'd like to just subscribe to our channel, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on Facebook, if you could just share this on your timeline, and also just press the like button. Thank you. And we do like getting the hearts, and we like getting the comments, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, we might not respond to everyone while we are live, but we do go through those questions, and we do respond afterwards anyway. But please let us know who you are, where you're watching from, and if you've got any comments or questions, please share them on the chat. It'll be good in the comments section. Thank you for joining us. And tonight we're going to be looking at the randomness of your life, and we're going to see if it is random or not. And we're going to look at the reasons as to why it's best to live your life knowing that your life isn't random. So we're going to be looking at that after we open. We're going to have a centering meditation, presence meditation, which anchors us in the here and now. And then Michelle may share some astrology. We'll get that right. Tell us what's happening in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome. Let's just wait for a few more people to join us.
Hi Claire, good to have you with us. Okay, do you want to start and then we can... Hello Odette. Okay, that's a good one to look at. Hello Hartmut and Mariki and Paula and Arlette. Hi everyone. You haven't told us if you're here yet, please do, so we know who we're talking to.
Yeah, we like to know that we're not talking to an empty room, that we have a few people with us. And these Sunday satsangs we've mentioned before, you know, the earth, humanity is going through such a transformation at this time. And together like this once a fortnight is, I believe, quite important in the fabric of the light that's being created on earth at this time. And it is important to, you know, the good book says where two or more gathered, there I am. And so together like this, even for a short time, is important in the evolution of human consciousness. And it works, you know, through the 100th monkey syndrome. As we gather here, we create an emanation, a radiance of higher consciousness that goes out into the world and definitely helps other people with their pain, with their suffering, with their healing. So it is good to be here. Yes, you might be doing it for yourself in your own evolution, but at the same time it does ripple out into the world and affects people that we will probably never meet and never know about. But there is definitely a raising of the tide of consciousness, and it makes it easier for other people to step out of the mind and into reality, into the present moment. So thank you for being here. Who else we got? Hello, Adam.
Adam,
Diane.
Sonia,
Hi, Diane.
Judy, Maria.
Judy. Maria. Hi, Maria.
Oh, hi, Maria.
Hi. All right, let's start this evening. So what we do is we just center ourselves in the present moment by relaxing ourselves and just focusing our awareness inwards. If we can do that, just by withdrawing our mind from all other times and all other places. I prefer to close my eyes for this, but you don't have to. You can do it open-eyed if that's easy for you. It's good, as we've mentioned, to have a candle, and if you want to, you can just look at the flickering plasma of the candle flame. That also helps. But the idea is just to withdraw your mind from the form of life and come into direct communing with life itself. And life is always here in the present moment. And we normally start by connecting with what's called the breath of life. That intelligence that is life breathes us from the moment we're born until we leave this earthly plane. And that is known as the breath of life. And most ancient cultures and certain religions with deep roots in the esoteric will honor the breath of life. And we use it as a powerful tool to withdraw our mind from time and come into presence, because the only time we can breathe is now. And it is a tool that is always with us. So we can return from the troubles in the mind back into the peace of presence by focusing our attention on the breath. So let's do that. Let's take a very deep breath into the body, consciously and aware of it, taking the breath right down to the solar plexus, and then releasing, just letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. Let's do that again. Take another very deep breath in, and then a very long, relaxing breath out. And as you breathe out, just drop your shoulders. Take a third very deep breath in. You might like to imagine it, visualize it going right down to your toes and up to the top of the head, so you're filling your whole body up like a big balloon. And then a lovely long, slow out breath. We often focus only on the in-breath, but in fact the out-breath is twice as important as the in-breath. The out-breath is a releasing. It's an act of trust, because as we breathe out, we trust that the next breath is going to be given to us, and there it is, and we breathe that in again. This beautiful flow, the rhythm of life, and between the in and out breath is a slight pause, and we honor that pause with our attention as well, just being aware of that still point. We allow the body to breathe itself once more without forcing it in any way, but we keep our attention on the breath. Just this beautiful rhythm and flow of the in-breath and the out-breath, not trying to control it in any way, but using it as a portal of attention, of awareness. No matter what stresses you go through in life, you can always bring yourself out of that stress and into the present moment by focusing your awareness on maybe 1 or 2 or 3 conscious breaths, breath taken with awareness. And it's good to practice this when you're not stressed, when you're not in a critical situation of challenges in life. Just practice when you're calm and peaceful, and make it a habit. You might like to do it at least once every hour. Just stop, pause, and breathe, so that you've made a habit of it, and you can draw on it whenever you have a stressful situation to deal with. You come back to the breath of life, and the beautiful in and out of the cycle of breath. Just allowing life to breathe you. We take the breath for granted. We might wake up in the morning and concern ourselves with all sorts of things about the day ahead and what needs to be done. And yet the most important aspect of being alive is the breath. And do we pay it any attention when we wake up? Do we consciously say thank you for this intelligence within the body that's breathed you right through the night? When you were completely unconscious, the breathing continued. And it's to honor this intelligence called life. Just to be aware that there is an intelligence called life that breathes you. Take another very deep breath in. Take it with full consciousness. And once more as you breathe out, just relax those arms, those hands, relaxing the torso and the legs and the feet. Just sink into direct awareness of presence. No need to go anywhere. No need to understand anything. Just to be in this moment. To be held in the space of this present moment here and now. Being aware of the breath. And let's see if we can in this moment become aware of the beating of our heart. Every time the heart beats, it pushes a pressure wave through the eardrums. And if you become very quiet and still inside, you'll pick that up. So let's just pause for a moment in our thinking and become directly aware of our ears and the eardrum, and see if we can pick up that pressure of the beating of the heart in the eardrums. Listen. And now just become aware of who or what is listening. It's not your name, it's not your gender, it's not your education, it's not your race, it's not your religion. There's something transcendent of all of that. There's something behind the story, underneath the story, that listens. You can call it life. You can call it presence. You can call it the I am. But in fact it doesn't have a label. It's just awareness, unconditioned awareness that truly listens. The timeless essence of being. Just notice the quietness and the stillness and the emptiness within you right now. And give thanks for this beautiful community of like-minded souls that have gathered here in this moment. Let me take another deep breath in. And a very long breath out. Gently, when you're ready, may open your eyes. And just see how you feel in this moment. You feel a bit more centered, a bit more balanced maybe. Let us know in the comment section how you feel. Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see a whole lot more joined when I have my eyes closed there. We had Lisa from Lisa in Italy, although you were traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Deline,
Yeah.
Susie, Adam. Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Diane. It's good to have you with us.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
So is your life random? If it's random, then what the hell does astrology do?
Well, exactly.
There we go. So what's happening in the non-random stars?
Well, we've got a new moon coming up on the 23rd or 24th, and it's the first of two in the same sign, which means that it's a double new moon, and with a similar theme. So it's quite important. And then the next one will be on the 21st of September.
That's a powerful day.
So we've got one at the very beginning of the sign, Virgo, and then the very end of the sign, which is some people call it a black moon, because when there's two full moons, it's called a blue moon in 1 month, or in the same sign.
So two new moons are called a black moon.
Some people call it that, but it's not a black moon. It's just it's apparently a term they use.
Okay.
But basically, the second one is an eclipse as well, and that's the weekend that we've got our Hogsback retreat.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about that weekend.
Energy, some very powerful energy coming up. So the second one, which is the end of the 21st, 22nd, is going to be the new moon. Yeah. Solar eclipse, So that's very powerful on its own. And then there's also the equinox. Yeah.
And those are the dates that we've chosen to do
rebirth.
our Hogsback retreat, our annual Hogsback retreat. Very, very powerful venue is Hogsback, and so the retreats there are very transformatory. And we've chosen a very auspicious day, weekend, haven't we?
Really is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a 5-day retreat.
Reset. It's a rebirth reset.
Yes.
Very powerful energy.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to join us, there's still some space. It's filling up nicely, but we do have some space. So.
Yeah. And you get 5 nights away, and it's really good to do a reset, and particularly in the southern hemisphere, we're having our spring, and that's a good time to clear away, to cleanse, and to clear out the mind, and to set new intentions and plant new seeds. And we have a very good theme for that. And I just know absolutely, because it always happens with Hogsback, that you arrive as one person and leave as someone very different.
Yeah, really
it always happens like that. Yeah.
And it's very supported by this supposed random energy that we have, you see.
Yes.
So especially this month, it's very, very supported by what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you look at the randomness or the non-randomness of the universe, and we can go into a few questions. I know Adette's already got one. Is that I think astrology has been my biggest teacher on that one, because I see people every day, and every single time I look at a chart, it's very, very obvious that nothing's random. Because if it was, then everything that I say to every single person that I meet would just be gobbledygook. So just that on its own, and there's so much more, but just that on its own, it more strongly than suggests, it determines that basically there is a plan, and that you're part of it, and that on a soul level, you chose everything. You chose the date, the time, the parents, the situation, the circumstances, the country that you were born, the class that you were born into, the gender that you were born into, the race that you were born into. That's chosen before we even take our first breath. So,
if any of you doubt that, all you have to do is spend a little bit of time on YouTube looking at near-death experiences, and looking at the experiences of people who dip into another realm when their heart stops or their brain stops, and then they come back here again. And just listen to how perfectly ordained everything is unfolding. And they say not a leaf falls without it being part of some absolutely perfect plan. The problem is that the mind doesn't operate in alignment with that intelligence called life. The mind operates on the linear plane, on the horizontal plane as we call it, the 4th dimension. And most people have the only awareness is that horizontal plane of 4 dimensions, 3 of space and 1 of time. And from that level of perception, it can be quite traumatic for people in the ups and downs of their life situations and circumstances. And it can seem, like Adette was saying there, that you do a lot of things wrong, and that in every moment you've got to choose between doing something right and doing something wrong. And what happens if I make a mistake here? I'm going to pay for many, many years to come. And that's quite scary, living in the 4th dimension, on the horizontal plane of time. And from that level of perception, it does seem random. Yes, obviously it does seem random. But when you step out into, for example, if you go into a forest, and we spoke a bit about this last time, you step into a forest and you see the perfection of the ecology and life in that forest, how everything is fitting in with everything else, and how everything is actually necessary for everything else. That tree has to die in order for the moss or the fungi to form on that particular log.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the forest analogy, because if you really had to sort of just glance at a forest for the first time, an indigenous forest that just grows naturally, it could seem random. I mean, there's everything growing all over the place, and there seems to be no logical order to it. Whereas a sort of a man-made planted forest has rows and lines. A forest has the most unbelievable intelligence, that underneath the surface and the mycelium and the roots, and there's the most incredible order in what might seem as random chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
And I think that's the play of this, this human experience. This is a world of polarity, dark and light, and masculine and feminine, order and non-order. But in all of those dimensions, there is an incredible order. And whether we see that or not, as John was sort of meaning there as well, that if we see the world as a random happenstance, it's quite an anxious way to live one's life. Because if it's all random, and there's no meaning, and there's no order, and there's no purpose, then somehow there's the feeling that we have to actually control it. We've got to have our hands firmly on some steering wheel and trying to actually control the outcome, because we might, as John said, you make a mistake. But I'm going to say, what if, and it's just a question that you can ask yourself, what if there are no mistakes? That's it, just that. Just sit with that for a moment. What if? Not saying there aren't, but what if you knew for certain that there were no mistakes? That it was impossible to make a mistake? I'd love to hear in comments what that would feel like if you see it from that perspective. If you just changed your viewpoint and asked yourself that question.
Yeah, type up in the comment section. Let us know what you would, how you would see that, and what that would feel like in your life. And the next question to really look at is, what is a mistake?
Yeah.
What is a mistake?
What is a mistake?
I mean, it's something that we would say, but it's pretty obvious what a mistake is. But just go there for a moment. What is a mistake? What is a wrong mistake? And I mean, the one thing that comes to mind, I know, and we all have different viewpoints on Oprah, whether she's a good person or a bad person. But there was a story about her parents having sex only once, and that was under a tree in a field. And that may have been a mistake. But in that moment, Oprah was conceived, and for better or for worse, she has impacted the lives of many, many, many people, and probably more positively than negatively. And just think, if that mistake hadn't have happened, the life would have, I think this world would have been a lot poorer in many, many ways. And same with yourself. You might think that your parents planned you to the T. They probably didn't. Most of us were born sort of by mistake, and yet there are no mistakes. Your children are not mistakes. Your grandchildren are not mistakes, from my perspective. But we'd like to hear what your perspective is. What is your perspective? What is a mistake? And what if there were no mistakes? What if there were just ways of experiencing life from different perspectives under different circumstances?
And what if everything in your life was, if not leading you to a grand purpose in this life, was part of your soul's evolution and was part of that? Because very often, I mean, nobody's actually said what's a mistake. Claire said she'd feel free if you said the words, what if there are no mistakes? So you'd feel free, right? What is a mistake? Because it's interesting to unpack what we see as mistakes.
And then you go into, if you go into physics and you have a look at the nature of the perfection of mathematical laws that underlie the physical creation process, and you see how there are no mistakes in the physical universe from a physical expression of molecules in the universe, that they're obeying these incredibly complex and detailed and beautiful equations. And so if there's no mistakes out there, then how come there are mistakes in here? And I think, we can look at life, we can live our life as if nothing is a miracle, or as if everything's a miracle. Albert Einstein says, I choose to live my life as if everything is a miracle. And what is a miracle but something that's happening outside of my control that has a perfection within it? So let's just look at life that way, that there are situations and circumstances that are beyond my control, that are unfolding, and ultimately they are giving me the perfect conditions that I need for my experience this time around. And exactly the same as my actions are giving other people around me exactly what they need for their experience. So you've experienced probably some hardships in life, some challenges in life, and some of them you might have been caused by people acting in maybe unconscious ways. But if you really look deep at those situations that happen, and we do this on our 12-week, 13-week journey to freedom course, we take situations and we look at them in your life journey. And if you really go deeply into that bad thing that happened to you by other people acting unconsciously, if you really look at that, there is a gift in that. There's always a gift. And you wouldn't have been able to receive that gift if that mistake by the other person hadn't been made. Same situation. If you hadn't made certain mistakes, then other people would be robbed of the gift that that so-called mistake played out in their life and the experience that it gave them. So then again, what are mistakes? And what if there are no mistakes?
And also on that front, so if something has happened and it feels wrong, in order to go through a full cycle of healing, we need to get to a point where we appreciate what has happened. And then we can let go of that as a life lesson. Once you're able to move through something, see it as part of your journey, and actually then move into appreciation for even the hardest situations, you've actually done a full cycle of healing. If we still feel that it wasn't meant to happen, and that we've been victimized in some way, we actually haven't learnt and grown through that experience. So I always just like to see it that is this situation, whatever this is, whatever this has happened in my life, has it in any way helped me to grow and expand my awareness? Now I'd imagine that most of the people on this group have set an intention at some point, if not in this journey, in our soul's journey, but usually this journey as well, that we want to evolve, we want to clear, we want to heal, we want to be more enlightened, be more spiritually connected, whatever it is, we would set an intention. And if we set that intention, then we're going to be given, or we're going to experience situations and life problems and life challenges to actually help us to grow, because we don't grow when everything's smooth and placid like a lake. Those are times when things are wonderful and it's beautiful, but we actually grow through challenge. So as Sue Kleinkies has said here, and we've traveled with Sue for a long time, her son Sphere passed, and it was a predestined, a soul agreement, and she has experienced immense healing through that experience, and it was a very, very difficult experience for any mother, any parent to lose their child. So Sue can speak to that firsthand. So thanks for that, Sue.
Yeah, and I know in my own life with the challenges that I've had on my journey, each one of them has been such an enriching process for where I am today and for counseling people in the way that I can, not from reading it from a book, but from physically going through those situations and dealing with them. And in Sue's particular case, she is now stepping out and she is going to shed her light in a unique way that she wouldn't have been able to do had her son not died so-called early in his journey. And she is now going to help other mothers, help them with their grief and their journey and their healing with regard to the loss of their children. I just know that Sue's going to give a beautiful workshop. When's that coming up? The retreat is coming up.
Sue, just put it in the dates. Put the dates here, because I'd like to just suggest that if you know anybody that has lost a child, lost a young one,
they can definitely benefit by Sue's wisdom and her experience.
And that's somebody who's actually seen the appreciation in that, which is probably one of the hardest things we can ever experience. So those things that we experience and see as mistakes, what is a mistake? Is a mistake something that we see from the mind's situation, from the mind's perspective, as something that didn't turn out the way we wanted it to? Or that it should be? So I had this dream and it didn't turn out. Or I had this relationship and it failed. Or I had a business and it didn't work out. Are those mistakes? Or what are we referring to as mistakes? I think it's quite important to unpack that one.
Yeah, and I've had so many of them on my life journey, but I wouldn't change a single thing, not one, because I would be robbing myself of the deep experience and learning process by going through those difficult situations. So from my perspective, and it is just a perspective, there are no mistakes. And there can't be any mistakes because life isn't random. So one way of looking at life is just to see it's just a happenstance, moment to moment. The other way is when you start to see it as an incredibly complex weave, a tapestry. And every single, if you have a look at every thread in a tapestry, when you go up really close, if you go with a magnifying glass and look at a tiny bit of tapestry, it seems absolutely random. What is that bit of yellow cotton doing there intertwined with the brown cotton? It doesn't make any sense. When you stand back, when you gain a different perspective of it, a higher perspective, then suddenly you can see the perfection in that whole tapestry, which you can't do when you're too close to it. And that's the problem of living your life only on the horizontal plane. You're too close, you can't see it. And that's where meditation comes in. When you step into the vertical plane, you go to the fifth dimension, which is a timeless place, where you gain greater insights into your life journey, into the unfoldment of the perfection of life. And there's a lovely limerick which Alan Watts gives. He says, there was a man who said, "Damn, for certainly it seems that I am a man," was it?
Who moves
into determinate ways. I'm not even a bus, I'm a tram. In other words, a tram was running on lines, if you remember the old trams, or it could be a train. So, in that way, you're not in control of your life. The more you step back from it, the older you get, the wiser you get. You start to see the incredible perfection in life. So you're not even a bus which can turn left or right. You're a tram, and there are rails there for you. I love that limerick. Yeah,
and we are guided, and we do have some rails, and we have some free choice. But there's a great plan. We call it the great organizing design.
Yes. Thanks, Sue, for putting up the details of retreat, and we can really vouch for Sue. She's got immense depth of wisdom, the way she's gone through her difficult situation. Now, if Sue hadn't have had this understanding, and she can maybe comment on this, if she hadn't have had an understanding that there is a higher purpose, that life is not random, she would have suffered immensely more than she did. because when you start to see that there has to be perfection in every difficult situation that you go through, you start to look for it because you know it's there. Same as if you lose your car keys in a particular room, you're going to look until you find them. If you don't know which room of the house they're in, then you're not going to look so thoroughly in that particular room. And so same in life, when you know there is perfection in every single happenstance that happens to you, you're going to look with higher eyes and see. Eventually you will find the perfection and the gift in that particular situation. So that, I think that philosophy, that understanding, that perspective has helped Sue with her journey, and I believe it can definitely help all of us with our journey, because to live life thinking it is random is quite a scary thing to live through, and it creates a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. And that suffering is self-inflicted. You must realize that. Yeah. That life situations happen, but how we process that situation determines how much suffering we experience. So we are not necessarily responsible for what's happening out there in the plane of our life journey, but we are 100% responsible for our experience of how we go through what we go through. And then when you start to take responsibility for how you are experiencing each and every moment, you become empowered to create a life that's really fruitful, that's really successful from the point of view of how you are experiencing it. So that is the great gift of realizing that life is not random, that there's a perfection unfolding despite our perception in each and every circumstance that we meet on the path.
And I think, I agree with you, and I think that a lot of the stress that we carry and the anxiety that we carry is the thought that we cannot handle what life is going to present to us. So if this had to happen, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Or if this doesn't get better, I'm never going to be able to handle it, or whatever it is. And so it's the thought about it. It's actually not the actual thing that happens. It's our thoughts about it that actually create the stress. So if we change our perspective and we see life as this miraculous unfolding, even though it can sometimes look like chaos, then we are actually taking the pressure off, and we're allowing ourselves to be part of the process of that unfolding. Because if we start seeing it as random, and we see it as ourselves making mistake after mistake after mistake, we're actually spending our lives in resistance. And resistance is the opposite of flow. So when we actually release and surrender and go into the still places and go into the spaces in between and bring ourselves into present over and over and over and over again, we are then in life's flow. We're not in resistance to life's flow. We're not pushing the river, standing in the river saying the river shouldn't be flowing in this direction. We're actually going with it, with the river. We're part of the movement and part of the flow of life, as opposed to standing trying to resist it and thinking that we have to actually resist it. And it's up to us to control everything.
And it's all a matter of perspective and how high our perspective is. As if we're very close to a tapestry, we're not going to see the perfection in the weave. Only when we stand back can we see that. And that is something we would suggest we all do as we move through these times that we're going through now of uncertainty. To step back from the drama, to go into the quiet place, to meditate, to sit in nature, to go for a walk in a forest, for example. That's a stepping back and just allowing this moment to be exactly as it is. From a physics point of view, it's, there's, as you go through orders of magnitude, of magnification, you go through a layer of order, and then you see a layer of disorder or chaos. And then as you go through a greater magnification of that, you go back to order, then you go to disorder and order again. That's the whole nature of reality. When you're seeing disorder, it's just because your focus isn't at the next level yet to see the order that's underneath that chaos. There's always order underneath chaos. It just depends on your level of magnification in that particular moment. So when you know there is order, you can live your life on that assumption. There is order, there is perfection. My life is not random. The things that I've done in my life are not random. They're not random at all. The pain that was created by those situations that I participated in were not random. They were very necessary for the whole weave of this incredible tapestry. I'm not saying that we must consciously do harm in the world, no, because there's karma related to the decisions we make that are not in alignment with love, that are not in alignment with kindness or care or compassion. There are repercussions because of that, but they're not wrong. They're not wrong at all. They're part of the incredible weave of magic. If you think that light is good and that darkness is bad, well, if you just think of how necessary nighttime is for us, to take that step out of the busyness of the day, to relax and to regenerate the body in the sleep cycle. If we didn't have the darkness, we'd be robbing ourselves of a whole experience. So darkness is not wrong. Contrast is not wrong at all. There is purpose in everything that happens to us in life. There is purpose.
That's right, but we judge it. We judge things as being wrong when they cause a discomfort or pain or suffering. We suffer because we actually believe it shouldn't be like that. As John said, darkness and light. I mean, a painting. Can you imagine a painting with just one hue and one tone? It wouldn't be a painting. Like a piece of music wouldn't be a piece of music if it wasn't for the spaces and the highs and the lows and the contrast, the different contrasts. So life on this planet is about contrast. And so when we say we've made a mistake, are we just saying that life didn't go the way we thought it would go? And then can we accept that life didn't go that way, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong? It just means that there's something else. And then we open to it, because otherwise we're actually spending our lives in resistance and fear about what might happen. Whereas when we're living our lives from a centered place, whatever happens, we are able to deal with, because we're actually in the flow of life. And we're not resisting it, we're not pushing it away, we're not trying to control it. So it's a very different way of living, because we've probably been socialized and conditioned not to live like that, to think about this and to think about that and to plan for this and to strategize that, and there's a place for that. But if you're living your whole life like that, then you're actually stopping the flow, the creative flow of life. You're stopping the natural unfoldment, like that forest of the fern popping up there, and then the tree falling down, and then all the little animals running along it, and different plants coming from, supposedly dead branches, and so much magic and wonder. We just got to look at nature to see the perfection, and also our own bodies, to look at your own body. Like, we're not controlling our blood flow, as John always says. We're not controlling growing our fingernails and creating the digestive enzymes to digest our food. We're not consciously doing that, but there's an intelligence that's doing that. Whether we acknowledge it or not, it's there, it's happening, it's not random.
Yeah, and I often say to parents who are quite proud of producing a new baby, well done on making that baby, but how the hell did you make the eyeball or the fingernail or the dendrite, and please tell me how to make a kidney or a liver. But parents don't have a clue how to do any of that, but the baby appeared with all of that. There was an intelligence called life that unfolded in that way to produce that unique vehicle for that soul's expression this time around. So we take far too much responsibility on the form of life, but what we're 100% responsible for, I said, is the experiencing of that life. How we experience each and every moment is 100% in our hands. And as Sue said, if she hadn't have had this higher perspective to that tragedy that happened in her life, she would have been in a very dark place, a very deep, dark hole. But she has experienced it differently. She's experienced it as a soul growth, and her experiencing of that is impacting positively on many other people's lives.
And it's not diminishing the pain. It's feeling the pain. It's feeling the whole thing. All the feelings that go with that. It's not saying that you're going to live going la 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 la, everything's perfect, I haven't had a loss. No, you're going to go through the grief, the pain, the loss as part of the experience, as part of the light and dark. And you're not going to judge it, you're just going to go through it. That's the way you heal. If you judge it and you push it away, then you're also not healing. So it's actually to accept all of it, isn't it? And what if we could do that? And how would it change us? How would it change life if we lived with that as a map?
Yeah.
That there are no mistakes. Would it change? I think it was one of you said you would feel free. Claire said you'd feel free.
Yeah.
So it's a choice. It's actually just a choice of which one how we're going to see it. Are we going to see it as a random mess and that you've made so many mistakes, or are we going to see it as an amazing unfolding mystery?
Yeah.
It's very different.
And just from my experience in my life, my day-to-day experience, looking back on my life is not random. And then we go to physics, and we go to quantum physics, and then we find, well, science backs it up. Life is not random. Moment to moment is not random. Nothing's random. So you have science on your side. It's not just a wishful thinking. Life is not random. Your life is not random. Your future is not random. Everything is unfolding according to a blueprint that we couldn't begin to comprehend with our limited perception in the human mind. We can't see it, but it is so. And to trust that this intelligence that beats your heart, that digests your food, that releases the hydrochloric acid at exactly the right moment for you to digest your food, that grows your fingernails, for example, and repairs wounds on your body. That intelligence doesn't stop with your epidermis. It radiates out into every aspect of your life experience. Every aspect is under the same flow, the same dance of intelligence. And you were talking earlier about coping with things in life. Nothing will ever happen to you that you will not be able to deal with in the present moment. That's an absolute truth. Yes, your mind sitting here can't begin to comprehend how you're going to sort that out in the future. But when that is your direct experience in the present moment, yes, it sorts itself out. Nothing's ever happened to you in the past that you didn't deal with adequately in the present moment. And nothing will happen to you ever that you will not deal with perfectly in the present moment, according to this beautiful blueprint that's unfolding in your life. And when you make that the ground that you stand on, that there is a higher intelligence orchestrating my life, I am part of that higher experience. You can call it your overself if you want. That is part of the creator of this blueprint for this human, for the lower self to experience. You are the creator and experiencer at the same time. And this creatorship that we are from a higher perspective is way, way, way more intelligent than the little human form that's experiencing this particular play. When you stand on that ground, you can say thank you for every up and every down, for every mountain peak and every valley that you experience. You can say in the moment, thank you. You don't have to wait 10 or 20 years to say thank you. You can say it in the moment, knowing that this is unfolding for your highest good and for everyone's highest good around you. Even those terrible things that happen in the world, they're happening for some reason that we at this level can't begin to comprehend. But there is good in everything. And if you want to know a bit about that, then just look at people, I said near-death experiences. They're wonderful examples, wonderful insights into the perfection of how lives unfold.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you just said there. We only have a tiny little sliver of what we can actually see about
reality.
What is really real.
0.05% is the eye's ability to comprehend the light wave frequency. 0.05%. That's closer to zero than one. And so, our perceptions are very, very limited here at this level. But when we meditate and we go into stillness, we go into quietness with no thoughts in our mind, that's when we connect to a vaster intelligence.
Yeah, and I think we've just got to be aware of at these times as well, because they're such powerful times, that the media and the information that we take in on a daily basis is not designed to help us to see that there is a divine plan and that life is turning out in the right way. It's the opposite of that. What sells things is lack
and fear.
Yeah. So, I used to be in advertising, bless my soul, and what sells products is the fact that you're not good enough, and you're not wealthy enough, thin enough, rich enough, healthy enough,
intelligent
and
enough.
you have to do that in order to be better. And so we've been conditioned to believe that. So it's a daily, minute by minute, moment by moment, recommitment to look at life from a different perspective than what we have been conditioned and what we continue to be conditioned towards.
Yeah.
Which is to see that life's a huge mess, that the world is on its head, that everything's in a random chaos, and that there's no point to it all. You can see it like that, or you can see it from a different perspective. That's our choice.
Yeah.
And it's a decision that we make.
And just to know that the mind is a very limited way of perceiving reality. It is so four-dimensional. Only when we step into the vertical plane do we have access to the greater levels of intelligence. And the way that we've been programmed is to be very head-centered in this world. But the new world, the new intelligence, is when we become heart-centered. That is the shift that we all need to make. It's a short journey, very short journey, from the head down into the heart. This is where our intuitive intelligence speaks to us, through here. And if you are ready to make a profound shift in your life, then we would urge you, if you can, to take advantage of our retreats coming up on those very powerful dates that Michelle mentioned.
19th to the 23rd.
19th to the 23rd of September in Hogsback. And we do still have some places, only a few places left on our Hogsback retreat. You're welcome to contact us and we can give you details, although they are up on our website, journeysofawakening.com. But one thing we do guarantee you that those 4 or 5 days will profoundly influence your life in a very positive way, very positively creative way as well. So if you are able to join us, I would suggest you do it, because these times that we're heading into now require us to shift our energy, to shift our perception to much higher levels of awareness. As Albert Einstein said, you can't solve problems from the same level of thinking you were at when they were created. You have to learn how to access these higher levels of awareness and intelligence.
Really? Yeah.
So while I was speaking there, you chose a card, okay, a green card. This is hot. We're talking about the shift, and they just come out of the pack randomly. So it is a very good guide to shifting from the head into the heart. So thank you. You're going to incorporate that in a meditation.
I'll just take us into a quiet place.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Let me lean forward a bit because my voice goes soft. Thank you, Sue, for your wisdom. If you haven't read Sue's wisdom there, she's got some beautiful knowingness. Okay, so let's just settle in, lean back wherever you are, and just take a beautiful, slow, long breath in, and then a long, slow, beautiful breath out. And just breathe at your own pace. Make your out-breath a little longer than the in-breath, so that on each out-breath You start to relax your body and soften more and more. You're breathing in for, let's say, the count of 4, and breathing out to the count of 7 or 8. And consciously softening your body. Allowing yourself to just drop into this present moment. Underneath the surface of the busy mind, with all its demands and all its busyness and its plans. You're dropping beneath the surface of that into the calm stillness of your true self. Just be very still. Allow yourself to really feel into just this moment. There's nothing to do and there's nowhere to go right now, other than to be here, breathing in and out. Right now, this is your purpose. Just to be here. To be fully present in this moment. Allow yourself to just really rest in this peace. If thoughts come, as they might, just allow them to drift by. And then bring your focus gently back to your breath. And to softening your body, to dropping your shoulders. And to surrendering into this moment. Our affirmation card for the night, and maybe for the week, is I am guided and protected at all times. All my needs are met easily and effortlessly by life in each moment now. So feeling into that right now in this moment. In this moment, all your needs are met. Easily, effortlessly, by life. In this moment, now. Right now you have everything you need. I am guided and protected at all times. It's a very strong affirmation to take with into the week. When you feel maybe anxious about the future or about something that you're dealing with, just to state that as an affirmation and to drop into this present state while you say it. I am guided and protected at all times. Now taking a deep, beautiful breath in and a long, slow breath out. And when you're ready, you can gently start to open your eyes.
Thank you. That was really beautiful, very beautiful. And this affirmation card we'll post up on the page. It's really beautiful. I'll put it up on the Facebook page, and let it be your guide for the weeks ahead. I'm sure it will anchor you in a reality that eases the pain and suffering and helps you see that life isn't random. Not at all. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to catching up with you in 2 weeks' time, or those on our Inner Space group, which is our online community, which everyone can join. It's going to be on Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us, and God bless.
All right. Sit tight.